Good evening, everyone. How you guys doing? Um, so today we'll be talking about pricing, and I'm scared. And the reason why I'm scared is not because I'm going to say nonsense because I'm used to it. I'm scared because pricing is usually a topic that a lot of people do not find comfortable acting out, not even talking about, just acting out. uh, some people know about pricing, but they're just too scared to do it. Some people know so much about money. They probably even studied economics before touching design. When they discovered economics will not do anything in their life apart from be a teacher. And they know all this basic demand, supply, cost, pricing, basics, and then they don't do anything about it. And so initially, when we are discussing this session, the idea was to actually talk about how to charge. But I mean, I've been doing that for a while and I've kind of figured out that I can't teach anybody how to charge. That's supposed to be your problem. However, what I can do is figure out why you charge what you currently charge and helping you decide if it's okay to charge that amount or not. And that's what we'll be doing for the next 30 minutes before we jump into questions. So firstly is why should you listen to me? Uh, one thing I've actually noticed. Give me a sec, guys. Okay. All right. So why listen to me? Uh, Quick one, just before we continue. I want to know if is this the echoing, guys? Just so pretty sure Liz said it's echoing. All
There's no echo here.
right. So why listen to me? When I started when I started discovering what pricing was, or when I started thinking consciously about what pricing was sometime around 2018. And what I had during that time was I had this crazy imposter syndrome. And I used to think that it was because people were so good at their job and I wasn't good at my job. But then it turned out that in reality, it's simply because anytime I see someone do a really, really good job, it's because I'm thinking about how much they charge to do that job. And then I become insecure when I figure out that it's going to be so much. Do you guys get? And so I still land up designing for Bank of America, and my head is wrapping. It's not even thinking about the job they just did. My head is wrapping around how much this my head is wrapping around how much they got to do that amount of job. And the same pentagram work for another business. My head is wrapping around how much they got to do that stuff. And then the next thing that comes into my head is you'd never earn that amount of money, or you'd never be so good that you would be able to charge that amount of money. And I feel like a lot of the imposter syndrome every other person has borders on this same premise that when you see people do good stuff or really, really big stuff, one of the things that comes to our minds is that they actually collected a lot of money to do it. And then we think about that lot of money and we are like, God, I'm so broke, I can't earn that amount of money. So I understand that part. I also understand the fact that I don't really, really care about money, but I love vanities. I want to be able to burn $1,000 without having to think twice about it. I want to be able to buy a 55-inch screen, 77-inch screen, buy a PS5 console, then buy another one and dash it to my friend. Um, Travel to Russia today, leave Russia for Ukraine the next day, then take another trip back to Hungary, uh, then maybe think about Nigeria for a bit, then cross over Nigeria to Rwanda. I love vanities, and I feel like every other person have vanities. But the thing that Solomon did not mention when he was saying vanity upon vanity was that vanities are expensive, right? And you need money to actually live these things out. And I need money. And most importantly, like every other person, I do not want to ever go broke again. And despite the fact that I know that I've gone broke like 3 times in this month, but I do not want to go broke again. And these reasons for me are there are reasons that you guys can relate to. There are reasons that now one of the reasons why you do design, the one of the reasons why you stick out your head in design, the one of the reasons why when that client is bullshitting you and disrespecting you, you're still like in the job because you know that at the end the client is going to pay your balance, maybe or maybe not. And so the reason why you should listen to me and why everything I'm going to say you shouldn't take it with a pinch of salt. You should not even take it as an opinion is because I'm in your shoes and you're in my shoes, um, and that I can really, really relate to you. So, the first thing I want to start with is talking about the first misconception about money. Designers like to call themselves introverts, and that is a really, really big misconception. And because they're introverts, they like to say that I do not talk a lot. I don't talk a lot. I don't speak to people a lot. And because I don't speak to people a lot, I can't sell my services. And since I can't sell my services, I won't be able to make more money. And that's a lie. Because if you are bothering how much you would earn based on your personality, you would not pay your bills. You will be the kind of person who will be hiding from your landlord or hiding from or be finding other ways to pay your Spotify subscription. I'm trying to think of the least possible responsibility you can. I don't know what you guys pay for since we all probably crack our Photoshop and Illustrator. Whatever you guys pay for, your Mac or whatever, you'd be begging or you'll be an introvert trying to pay for those things. Your personality, who you are, would not pay your bills. And so when you guys are thinking of talking about money, you should stop or you should actually put aside who you are and how you think or how you approach stuff, because it doesn't affect it doesn't really affect how much money you make. The richest people in the world today, some are introverts, some are extroverts, but much more importantly is the fact that the amount of money they made was not based on how introverted they were or how extroverted they were. This guy Zuckerberg is the socially awkward human being. Yet he's like one of the top 10 richest people in the world. The CEO or one of the co-founders of Google, also socially awkward, introvert. Yet he's very rich. And then we have people like Warren Buffett, or no, we have people like Jack Ma and what's the other person's name? The CEO of Virgin. And these guys are like extroverts, all talking, whether they're talking nonsense or not, they don't care, they just talk. And yet they are still rich. And so it's obviously showing that who you are or how you act does not really affect the way you make your money. Whether you are quiet, whether you talk, you say 10 words per day, or whether you say 1,000 words per day, really doesn't affect that. So how exactly should we now approach money if we're not approaching it from the point of our personality? How should we think about money? And how exactly do we think about money in the context of design when we know that who we are does not really affect how much we earn? Uh, and this is a law that have kept me for a really long time. It says that there is no right price, only fair. And a wise man said this. I figured this out because while I was battling with imposter syndrome from 2018, I was always concerned so much about whether the price I was currently charging my client was right. And from this point on, you guys will be hearing a lot of stories and theories. Uh, when I was going to start my company, Neptune, in 2018, I met with Victor of First Canvas, and I asked him a question and I said, what I want to charge this amount, or I don't know how to charge now that I'm running an agency. What should I do? What do you think I should do? At that time, I was charging 5,000 naira. Um, And Victor said there are two options for you. He said number one, you could decide to go slowly and gradually start having a 10K client, then increase it to 15,000, then increase it to 20,000 gradually. And he said probably in 5 years or in 3 years, gradually, you will hit the 20 million revenue mark. So that's one. Then there's the second option where you just shoot straight for the sky and go straight for 150,000 or 200,000 and say that this is what you want to start charging. And then try and find the clients that will pay that particular amount. And then probably in the next 1 to 2 years, you will hit the 20 million mark. So he said that if I go for the drastic increase, I'm going to have to pay for it because my current circle of clients are people who can actually pay 5K. So it would mean that I'd have to constantly start saying no to them and start telling them that I don't got charge 5K, I charge 100K or 150K and whatsoever price I agreed on. And that I'd have to now begin to look for people who can actually pay their amounts. And the sacrifice that comes with that is that for a certain period of time, I would not get any clients or make any money. As you can expect, I said it's a lie. I said not lie. This will not happen. I'll get clients in it within the first month. And so I went for the drastic one. All of us, everybody here wanted to earn money, so I went straight for the drastic one. Didn't go straight, so I moved from 5K right up to 100K. January came, nothing. February came, nothing. March, nothing. April, nothing. And there was no COVID then, so I could not like blame it on economy or COVID. Nothing. May, June, July, August. Now in August, we were so bored that we had to take a pro bono project, right? And then the pro bono project came on and introduced us to about 4 clients. And the funny part of it was we got one client who paid us the money we've been pressing for 100,000 naira. And that was like the open doors to every other thing, right? So we did the 100K client, and then when we finished, he referred us to another 100K client, which was quite higher. Then when we finished that one, she referred us to another 400K client, and the 400K client referred us to another 500K client. The 500K client referred us to another 700K client. And so I developed another rule learning through that. And the rule I developed was that when you increase your price drastically or when you increase your price at all, you do not need to have 50 clients coming to you to validate that price. You just need one person. You get one person, like, and the rest is just going to fit in. But what exactly do I mean by there is no right price, only fair? When I was trying to increase my prices then, and the reason why I had that 8-month drought is because I thought, or it's because of this. When I was working or when I was interning at First Canvas for about a year, there was a particular project I worked on, a document, and I saw them submit the invoice, and I saw 120,000 naira. My head was burning. My head was like, how is a 40-page document 120,000? That's like me designing me designing like 20 logos, and it's still not as expensive as that. And so I began to feel like I was charging wrong. I was doing something wrong, absolutely. And that was where everything was entirely fucked up for me, right? Because I was beginning to now like compare myself with these guys and where they currently were. And then I began to second guess every single thing I did from there. And so when I moved to 100,000 naira, I wasn't trying to actually charge for my skill or charge for what I do. I was trying to measure up to what they were doing currently. And that was like a big problem for me. I couldn't really see what was really in front of me up until the 8-month drought that happened. But when I say there is no right price, it's simply saying that if somebody is charging 2,000 naira, he's not wrong. And that the fact that you're charging more than that person doesn't make you any more right? 2,000 naira, 10,000 naira, 100,000, 1 million, 10 million, or 5 naira, or even free does not affect the next person to you. right? Design is not like every other profession. And that's the second misconception, is the fact that when people talk about pricing in design, we compare it to other professions like medicine, engineering, and they are not. It's not the the magnitude of problems that and the magnitude of applications that design has is pretty much way extensive than most of these professions, and the way it should be addressed or the way it should be the system should work should also be different. And when you're trying to validate most of your opinions and you're comparing them with these professions, you do not exactly elevate its value. You just basically devalue design as a profession. So my idea of pricing is that taking your client, taking yourself, and taking the work itself, and figuring out what number properly aligns three of them together. So the way say it is that your price is a reflection of your client's capacity, not your skill, not your experience, not your brand, right? It is not because Pentagram is so big. It's not because there's Michael Burrows and Palasha in Pentagram that makes them charge the way they charge. Because if they leave Pentagram will still charge the same amount. It's not because of the amount of experience Pentagram has. Neither is it because of the brand that Pentagram has that allows them to charge the way they charge. It's not that, right? It's actually a reflection of the kind of clients they work with. No matter how skillful Pentagram would get, if a student comes to them, a student would not in any way pay them $150,000 for a brand identity project. Neither would uh, neither would Dangote decide to pay $10 for the same project, right? So the prices you guys eventually charge, whenever you charge for design projects, is not a reflection of who you are. It's a reflection of who your clients are. And understanding that allows you to really erase the idea of whether you're charging right or wrong, right? It places it on a really empathetic level where you tend to understand who your clients are and how you can actually service them better. And so fair pricing is not about value. It's not about value-based pricing or output-based pricing or input-based pricing. It's simply about figuring out what your clients can pay, whether it aligns to what you can do, and whether you both agree on that a particular amount. That's how simple pricing can actually get. Um, and when we discuss about pricing, or when we talk about fair pricing, some of the terms we talk about are cost, price, and value. And Christo explains this that cost is what you spend to get the job done. Price is the amount is your cost plus the profits you charge for doing that job. And value is deciding how much the job means to your client. And so irrespective of what method or approach you use in charging your client, it still boils back down to whether it's fair to your client or not. And so when you guys talk about negotiations, when you guys discuss with your client, and your client is telling you, I can only afford 20,000 naira and I cannot afford 50,000 naira. Your client is not trying to tell you that you are bad, neither is your client trying to tell you that you don't deserve that amount. Your client is simply telling you that whether you deserve it or not, I don't care. This is the amount I can pay. It's just like when you want to buy a MacBook, right? The MacBook tells you I'm 1 million naira, right? If you do not have the money and you want to, let's say you're talking to a UK used, someone who sells UK used, you want to price it. You're not pricing it because you think the person is is scamming you. You're pricing it because it's the amount you can afford or it's the amount you think it's worth. And so when you guys are probably discussing pricing to a client next time again, you should think of it from that perspective, understanding that your clients are telling you this is the amount they want to pay. It is not them trying to fight with you. It's not them trying to cheat you or something. It's just them trying to figure out the best deal for themselves. Everyone is selfish. If you can understand that, then a lot of the polabalus and shenanigans we do when we complain about clients and the amounts they want to pay would disappear, if not reduce. So Just before we continue, quick one: stop charging for the amount of money you spent learning on YouTube or at design school. One of the things I hate the most on Twitter is when someone comes on and says, clients don't respect me. They don't know how much I spent on YouTube. If you don't shut the fuck up, nobody cares how much you spent on YouTube. Somebody who spent more on YouTube is charging less than you. Someone who spent less on YouTube is charging more than you. I don't know why you want to keep on punishing clients for learning something for yourselves. You didn't learn it for the client, right? You learned it to achieve a skill. And then after achieving that skill, you're using that skill to earn money. But if you're using that skill to pay back your data for learning from YouTube, you are just kidding yourself consistently. So if you want to be serious about charging pricing, stop charging for what you learned on YouTube or at design school if you attended design school. Stop charging for that amount, right? Stop thinking of the amount of data you spent because you would not measure to a lot of people yet. Stop doing that entirely. Um, so now that we are done with that, how do we exactly figure out a number? Um, let me give that a quick story. So sometime last year, when I was still in Neptune, a particular client called us, and the client wanted to run a brand management gig. And when the client called, he he said that he has a new company that is an ad company. They place ads on cars and then the cars drive around and you see the ads. It sounded like a really good idea in theory. And he wanted us to manage his brand such that he's able to get more clients and have more brand awareness. And I'm usually very excited when clients call me and say things as precise as that. But when he kept on talking and stuff, you guys know this idea. I don't know if you guys have ever had this happen to you. You guys can just like comment in the comment section. Has this ever happened to you where when you're talking to a client and they begin to say particular phrases like we are just starting out, there's not a lot of money, we spent a lot of money, uh, it's been a really it's a long deal. It's been hard for us trying to do these things, but we are doing it nonetheless. I don't know if you guys have you guys heard clients like that, or they say things like, "We've invested so much into this, and we really, really can't wait for this to happen." Yeah, it happened, right? I saw he began that and everything, and in my head, and we are creatives. In my head, I already figured out, okay, this is what we are doing. These are deliverables, pack, 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 bo, bo. And he was like, so how much would this cost? I was like, okay, I was like, and the question in my head was, how much would this cost? So I told him I was going to call him back because, and this is straight up, when the client asks you how much is something going to cost, if you don't have an idea, don't say it right up there. Just tell the person you're going to get back to them. Or you give a particular large range and say you'll get back to them once you figure out your project scope. So I told him I was going to get back to him. And when I dropped the call, I hit up I told all my team members and said, hey, what's up, guy? How much do you guys think we should charge for this project? And he mentioned, I think he said 300,000. I was like, why? Why are we charging 300,000 for what? That's too small. Mind you, before that, the last project we had was just about 200,000. And in my head, I was like, we have the capacity to be able to charge close to 700,000. We should be able to do this. So he was saying 200,000. And in my head, I was thinking 1.5. But the reason I was asking you was I wanted some sort of validation. And it just like made me feel bad. It made me feel like I liked the money too much. So I said, okay, no problem. And then I hit up somebody else and said, yo man, what's up? What do you think we should charge? He too said something around the figure of 400 to 500. So I closed my ears against it. But again, like I said in the beginning, I like money, I don't want to be broke. And then I called the client and told the client that it's going to last 3 months and it's going to cost him 500,000 naira per month. That's 1.5. And the client first laughed, and I laughed with the client. He said, what do you mean 500,000 per month? I said, yes, I meant 500,000 per month times three. He said, I don't have that amount of money. I said, good, no problem. How much do you have? He said that, well, that his budget for everything was around 300,000. I said, I don't understand. What do you mean? He said that, well, that since he's just starting. I said, I understand you're just starting. That's no problem. I heard that before. But what do you mean 300,000? I don't understand. He said that he repeated the entire story. So then I hit him up and I said, well, let's go back again to what you mentioned. You said you wanted to make money, right? He said yes. I said, so if this thing goes well, how many clients would you have? He said 5 clients. I said good. How much is each client worth? And in total, how much would that be in revenue? He said 20 million. I said beautiful. And I asked him the next question and said, so if you were doing investment and if someone asked you to invest 300,000 naira to earn 20 million, what would you say? He said, I said, what is He said, I understand what you're trying to do. I said, obviously, I know. Even me, I understand what I'm trying to do, but you have to do it nonetheless. So he said, okay, no problem. What would it cost? How much can you let me do? Now, in my head, right, I knew 1.5 million was too much for him. I also knew even 1 million was too much for him. On paper, I had 800K waiting, and I was like, this is where we're going to get to. So I told him that, well, since he's paying for an entire quarter, that's 3 months, I was going to give him a discount. So instead of 1.5, I was going to give him 1 million and scrape off 500,000 naira out of it. So he pays about 350K per month. And he said, that's a good number. I said, of course I know. I mean, I just removed 500,000 naira. I told him that that's salary for 1 year. That's someone's salary for 1 year. He laughed. And then the next question he came up with was, I cannot afford 1 million. And I was like, I know. So how much can you afford? And he said, well, what I can do right now, the best I can do is 500,000. I told him, well, that's good. I mean, we're making progress. He said, but unfortunately, I can't go for 500,000. I said, what do you mean? I said, 500,000 is too cheap to earn 20 million. He said, I know, but he forgot the 20 million. I said, I cannot forget the 20 million now. I mean, 20 million, it means that I'm doing my job. So he says, okay, so what can you do for me, really? The best I can do. Note he once said the best he can do was 550. Now he's saying the best he can do is 600. I said, well, what I can do now is 900. Then he was like, 900 is too high. I'm like, come on. I mean, I've dropped by 600,000 now. The least you can do is actually give me a better offer than that. So he said, okay, now he's going to think about it. And then right there on the call, I told him that, when are you going to get back to me? He said he doesn't know. I said, you have to know, because we have a lot of projects on ground and we're trying to fit you in. I mean, it doesn't stop us it doesn't stop us finishing this conversation right now. And then he said, okay, let's do. He said no. He said he can't do more than 600,000. I said, okay, you know what, sir? I said what? I said let's do 600 plus 900 divided by 2. He said, how much is that? I said that's 750. So we're coming to the middle. I said, 750. Can you remove 50,000 for coke? I said, no problem. I said, can you remove some 50K for coke? The 50K for coke. I said, let me think about it. So I wrote on my paper, I just rewrote my name back again, because I mean 700K was my target. So I rewrote Praise Philemon, circled, did like I was thinking about it. And I told him, okay, yes, sir, that would work. That would actually work. Thank you very much for your patronage. He was like, oh, really? I said, yes, good. He said, okay, that's no problem. I said, so by the way, you'll be paying 50% advance. He said, no problem. You're going to send it by Monday. I was like, really? So you were going to even send like 300K at first. So yeah, so that's amazing. And then the call ended. Now the funny part of the call was that when I called my partner and said, I told him my partner how much we charge. My partner told me 150K per month. I said, oh, sorry, we charged more than that, unfortunately. And so when we charged 700K, the man was like all upside down, right? And the funny thing about the pricing was that he was micromanaging us and all that stuff. But that's not the main problem. The main problem was how did I come about 700K? Now, because I was running an agency, the maths was easy to figure out. The number of people who are going to work on it, their salaries, and the amount of cost that takes, our overhead costs, the amount of people we are going to outsource to, figuring out the deliverables was really, really easy to come about, plus 70% profit. I just knew that the price had to be within the range of 700 to 800K. But for freelancers and for freelancing like me, the way I figure out my pricing is first I think about how big is my client, how big are they, how rich are they, how what is their pocket like. That's the first thing I think about. Now the second thing I think about is how good am I? How are my skills? Am I good enough to actually take on this project? When someone comes to me and says they want to do brand strategy, am I really, really good enough to charge for brand strategy? That's the second question I think about. The third question I think about is the first figure that comes up in my mind, how comfortable am I with it? If I'm very comfortable, then it's not the right price. It's not a fair price. If I'm comfortable with the figure in my head, if I'm not actually fighting to actually negotiate with the client, then I'm not being fair to myself. And the last question is this project a perfect fit for me? Usually when you answer these four questions, you usually come to terms with a particular range. And now the third question is like the really, really most important question. When you figure out how comfortable you are with the figure in your head, so when you want to charge a particular client, and the first figure that comes to your head is 50,000 naira, and you are confident you will get that price, increase double the price usually, right? That's what I do all the time. So when I was starting 700K at this point, remember I told you that the previous price to that was 200K. So I knew that if I told this client 200K, I would be comfortable, and I was so sure I wanted to get 200K as a bargain. And so you need to just tip yourself a little bit over the scale in a way that actually pushes you to negotiate. Right now, when you negotiate, you figure out that if you had probably stood with the figure you were comfortable with, you probably wouldn't have charged as much as you wanted to charge. There was this project where we charged for an event. The event was going to happen in 3 weeks. We charged 650K. We agreed 650K for the entire project. But when we were charging, we did not know who she is, or didn't even know who she was. And then the first way that came to my head was 500,000 naira, and I was comfortable with it. And I told my partner that let's push 800K for her. I feel like 800K is something that we can figure out. So there's still a bit of anxiety when I said 800K. Once I felt the anxiety, I knew that, yeah, I was saying the right price. When I said 800K, the first price she brought it down to was 600K. So her first bargaining chip was higher than the initial price I thought we could for. I was like, wow, interesting. And then we settled it at 650. And so I feel like once you can figure out the intangible questions of number 1, 2, and 4, it allows you to really, really come to terms with the figure in your mind. The first thing you guys need to do is to be confident in your skills. You need to own your skills. You need to understand that if you are not skillful enough to charge a million naira, you are not skillful enough to charge a million naira. Stop trying to lie to yourself, right? If all you do in brand identity project is a logo, a letterhead, business card, and ID card, and you're charging a million naira, you are good, right? But you're probably in your dreams, right? So you need to come to terms with your skills. You need to come to terms with who your client is. You need to come to terms with whether the project is the perfect fit for you, and much more importantly, figuring out all those things. You need to figure out if you are comfortable with that figure. If you are, just tip it a little bit. Probably multiply by 1.5 or multiply it by 2. Um, Now, assuming you figured out your number in your head and you want to increase that number, what do you do? Increasing your price is usually a big step to take. And when you want to increase your price, don't increase when you're increasing your price. I'm not talking about increasing from 5K to 7,000. Neither am I talking about increasing from 8K to 10,000. That's not increasing. That's you're bargaining with yourself. Increasing your price has to be obvious. You need to, it's like you taking uh, a step up. When you're taking a step up, the up actually has to be up, right? Don't deceive yourself. So when I say increasing that number, I'm talking about from times two upwards, right? How do you increase your prices? In 2017, I had this conversation with Yox, and I was like, Yox, you guys know Yox now. Yox is like out there. And remember I told you about my imposter syndrome of how people charge so much more than me, and I feel bad about it. That's the way I felt about Yox then. So I hit him and said, Sir, how can I charge like you? So, Yox told me to send me my logos. So I sent him my logos, and he saw my logo and he said, Your logos should be your logos look like 20K logos. But like really, because I was charging 1.5 for them. Like really, he said yes, it looks like they are worth 20K and stuff. I said, so how can I charge more? And Yox told me, he said, change your circle of clients. And that's the first thing I said, change your circle of clients. I said, what do you mean? He said, simple. Who do you work for right now? I said, student. He said, stop working for students. I was like, really? He said, yes. And so I stopped. And like whenever that graphic designer was popular in school, you want to receive the graphic designer award of the year. You see people's names there, and I was just looking at them like, Jesus, in my life, I've created an award now and added it to my resume. But I stopped, right? Because I knew that there was so much more to than collecting 500 naira credits, 1,000 naira for music artworks or for logos and all that stuff. I just felt like there was so much more. Adding that to the 120K invoice I saw in first canvas, I knew there was definitely much more than there's definitely something more to charging for these things than than 5K or 10K. So when he told me that, the first thing I did when I launched Neptune was to figure out who can actually pay me this amount, right? So I began working actively to look for people who can actually pay me my money. So if you are a design agency and you want to increase your prices, the last thing you want to do is to keep talking to the people who can pay the same amount you earn. You can notify them that you're increasing your prices, but to keep talking to them is just doing yourself a disservice. Um, if you're a student and you want to increase your prices and you still want to work for students, start looking for high earning, high paying students. If you are a freelancer and you're looking for a new client, start looking for people who can pay you more. It's simple. The way I see it is this. If you're looking for your brother and someone told you your brother is in the market, you know the market your brother is in, and someone tells you find your brother, you know what to do. You know what to do. Simply take your legs and go to where your brother is. That's the simple thing about changing your circle of clients. Royalty move with royalty. High earners move with other high earners. It's the way life has always been. It is not inequality. It's just life being fair. And that's number one. Number two, improve your skill set. If you want to charge more, you can't keep doing one. You can't keep delivering logos in JPEG files and PNG files. You can't keep delivering logos in probably deliver logos in the assets and then you just do business card and letterhead. You can't keep doing that if you want to charge more. So what I did was when I increased my prices from 5,000 naira to 100,000 naira, what I did within that 8 month period was invest so hard in strategy, environmental design, visual design, product design on the side though, and a couple other sets, just trying to really figure out how well to solve the diverse client problems with my skill set. So you can increase your price in these two ways: changing your circle of clients and improving your skill set. I'm pretty sure there is um, not so much. There's not almost every other ideas you can think of fall under any of these two. Uh, so that's the way I increased my number. The way he went for me was from 5K to 100K was a times 20 increase. 100K to 200K was another times two increase, then another times two, then another times two. But whenever you want to increase your prices, your best bet should be to double it. So if you're charging 100K right now, you want to increase, don't increase to 150, increase to 200. Right? You need to have that feeling of anxiety when you actually add to that price. So last week, there was this popular question on Twitter, and the question was, would you prefer 100 clients at 10K each or 10K clients at 100K each? Um, Based on what I've said, the answer is no, there's no wrong answer. But for me, I would prefer 200, I would prefer five clients at 200K each. And this is not because I like, this is not because I don't have long-term views or I have short-term views. The way I see the world is simple, right? I see the world in a, it's like a triangle, right? The lower end of the triangle, which is very wide, are the low income earners, right? And the low income earners have the low income designers. They will work to each other. So it means that if you want to work out, if you want to keep on charging 10K, right, you will see people who will pay you 10K and you would offer them 10K, you offer them your services at 10,000 naira and nobody will die, right? And then you move on with that and be cool with it. And I'm cool with people charging less because it simply means that you're servicing people down there who can actually afford less. Which is not a problem. Good. Now there's a second part, the second part of it, right? Where you move a little bit higher, and that's like the 50 to 70K people. The funny part of it is that people who would afford that are also they also exist and there are still plenty. And designers who can actually collect their amount and still live their life and pay their bills still exist, right? And then you go higher up, the higher you go, the lesser the clients and the lesser the designers available, right? And so you get to say the higher the the higher part of the triangle or the higher part of the pyramid. And against people who charge in the six figures, 500,000 naira to a million to 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 do a logo, and there are clients who consider that right normal for them. They will pay because they exist, right? Demand and supply, they are constant forces, always dragging each other left, right, and whatever. It's the reason is the third said for when Newton was, I feel like when Newton was developing his third law, when he was saying for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction, he was copying the economics law, the third economics law that says demand and supply equals to equilibrium. There's always a market for whatever amount you charge. There is always a market, and in every market there is demand and there is supply. And so if you are so much bothered about if you think that you're making a headway by charging 10K for 200 clients, it's fine for you. There's somebody who is charging 2 million naira for just one client, and you guys are on the same place, right? Two of you at the end of the month, he will work with the client for 2 months, you will work with 200 clients for 2 months, same amount of time, same amount of money, different amount of effort. And then you guys will go to the bar. He would be drinking while you would be drinking too. But the only difference is that because you can probably spend so much time or spend so much effort, you're probably tired, right? You probably slept off in the bar. He would drink responsibly and go home. Why? Because he only had to deal with just one client problem. You had to deal with 200 people's problem. On Twitter, you will come on Twitter and you'll be telling us, these clients give me problem. Clients are wicked. No, clients are good. Clients are this. As long as you consider it fair for yourself and fair for your position, it is fine. We have no problem with it because we need you to survive. That's what I keep saying. High charging people, designers who charge high need designers who charge low to survive. Because if designers who charge low do not exist, those clients down there will come up here and insult us, right? So to reduce the insult, we need you guys. And when I say you guys, I don't mean you guys here. We need people who are comfortable charging 5K, 10K to just take the job, right? Take the job, take the flyer, take the poster, take the whatever. Now, if you charge high if you charge high, right? There are certain times when, yeah, you are probably really, really broke. You need to make some money, right? Yeah, you can compromise, right? You can take a low paying job. The point right now is not about right or wrong. The real point is about, are you comfortable with it? Is it fine for me? Yes. Is it fine for the client? Yes. Can you guys move on? Yes. End of story. Right. So it's not a matter of long term, short term thingy. It is not a matter of whether you like money or not. Neither is it a matter of um, whether it is the economy or not. It is not. This is I keep saying it, right? I have friends, right from March when COVID started up until now. I have friends who have made more this year than they've made the entire of last year. I have friends who have made more this year, right? And it's not from doing 10K for 100 people clients, right? You can, in fact, the idea that you can actually charge 100K to 100 clients in 1 month is also another misconception, right? Because if you do your things good and you do your mathematics good, you can also get 100 clients who will pay you 100K comfortably. So I hope that actually answers the question. So the answer to this question is, if you are comfortable with 10K for 100 clients, do it and earn your 1 million. If you are comfortable with 100K for 10 clients, do it and also earn your 1 million. It doesn't make one person richer than the other. It doesn't make one person wiser than the other. You guys are helping each other. Simple. Um, that being said, how do you guys find clients that can pay your worth? So the funny part about this is that, first, define your clients. You need the idea that every business in Nigeria is your client is a fallacy. Not every business in Nigeria is your client. I don't have to repeat that 10 million times. Not every business in Nigeria is your client. Don't think anybody who runs a business can be your client. No, it's a lie. Your clients can have a particular personality. For me, right, I'm biased in picking my clients. If you go and fuck up, right, you are talking to me and you're saying, let me give you an example. Uh, if I'm talking to you and you are constantly using the word we are just starting, there's a bigger chance that the conversation will end without me even asking you how much you want to pay. That's a really, really big idea. Um, if we are having a conversation and on the call, you are talking to somebody else on the call. I mean, it's our first call. We're not even talking. It's our first call. You are talking to somebody on the call. We are not going to have that conversation. We're not going to move forward with it. And usually that's because it's a red flag for me. It means that when I'm trying to talk to you, when we're having a particular conversation, I'm trying to talk to you, you would actually be talking to me and then dump me on the call. I'm going to talk to somebody. And I'm like, do you think my life is being wasted? The way I see it is like Harvey Specter, right? Even that I've seen Suits, yeah. I like to think like Harvey, right? I like to think of myself like Harvey, right? Um, understanding how valuable I am, understanding that the client needs me. I don't need the client. Understanding the fact that if the client did not come, I would still leave, right? I'm actually advising myself in that way. So define who your client is. Know who your client is exactly, right? Should they be males? It's fine. Should they be females? It's fine. Should they have businesses? How much do their businesses earn? Where should they stay? Should they be in Lagos? Should they be in Ibadan? Should they be in Abuja? Okay, you want to do the entire of Nigeria. What else can you use to define them? Should they be in healthcare alone? Should they be in fashion? Because each of these industries are really, really wide. There are a lot of SMEs who can afford you. All you need to do is really figure out who your client is. Once you do that, the next thing you want to figure out how much do they earn. And then the next thing and the most important thing is, what do they spend the most money on? If you can figure out what your client spends the most money on, it puts you in the best position to sell your product or your service to them. The idea that design is a commodity is really, really misguided, because design is not a commodity. It's a service, and services are what subjective to the skill of the person who is offering it, the amount of value it provides to the person who is receiving it too. And so because of that, there is not a one way it's not a one-way ticket to charging the right price. So figuring out what they spend the most money on and using that idea to using that idea to 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 structure your client persona is something that would also properly help you figure out where your clients are. Um, Another way also to find new clients is partnering with people who already work with those kind of clients. And this is something a lot of designers don't like to do because you guys are all proud. I don't know why you guys are proud, but you're proud. You you want to start 300K, and the kind of client that can pay you 300K is working with your friend, right? Who charges them a month. But because you don't want to sound like a broke person, or because you've made an idea that you earn so much more, you don't want to open your yak in front of your friend. You decide to keep it to yourself. Who are you doing yourself, right? So what you simply want to do is figure out who is charging this amount of money and tell them you want to partner with them. You simply do not need, right? You want to enter 300K, just tell the guy you want to partner with them on this project or the next project that is coming up, right? You want to partner with them on it. You are willing to take a 20% cut of it, right? The idea is that and then you want to be able to have that client in your network. When you have that client in your network, what that means is that you have tentative access to the client's network itself. So if you are able to actually position yourself as somebody trustworthy, you definitely can actually move ground. The most important thing is once you move forward in increasing your price, do not go back. Once you say you want to charge 200K, you need to be ready to want to charge 200K, right? If you charge 200K and then an 100K job comes in and you succumb, right? The funny part of it is that when you succumb, it damages your confidence and your ability to want to charge 200K again. When you charge 200K, and the more you say no to less prices, the more confident you are, the more confidence you get, right? That you're actually worth 200K. Right? It's subtle, but it happens. It's subtle, yeah, but it happens most of the time. The more you say no to lower prices, the more confident you begin to get in the fact that you're actually worth the higher price you say you are worth. The more you say, the more it happens, right? And so when you say it more and more and more, right, you tend to begin to shift base. And the fun part of it is that people you say no to keep it in their head that you're worth this amount. Quick story. A client hit me up in February saying that he work on wanted to work on a particular project, uh, and then he disappeared. Now at that time, I charged him for around 200K, uh, and the funny part was that when I charged him around 200K, he was like he was still trying to negotiate and he disappeared. Now he came back July, and when we had the conversation again, I think he forgot that he was trying to negotiate 200K because the amount negotiated this time was times three of the amount we negotiated the last time. So it was grossing towards 600K, but he didn't know, of course, because there was a method I used, but he didn't know at all. And the fun part of it was that it was easy for him to actually accept it because as at then I told him, if you're not collecting this, we are not working together. It's that simple. And you obviously know how good I am and how perfect I am for this project. It's not something I need to sell to you anymore again. He said, yes, that's true, that's true. And that worked out. And I'm going to give you another story of a story where I said no because of a 50K difference. This person wanted to design for a microfinance bank. And when he reached out to me, he said, hi, he has a microfinance bank he's working on and he wants to do a new logo and whatnot, and that he needs help trying to restructure his brand. I said, no problem, no problem. Uh, then he said this again. He said, it's my personal money I'm using to do it. I said, no problem. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. It can be a personal money. What's your budget? He said, I don't have a budget. I said, fine. Okay, good. I like it when they say they don't have a budget. It's actually fun. So I told him that, okay, since you don't have a budget, the amount of my client was on this meeting. One of my clients was on this meeting, just in case you guys don't know. uh, so he said that what's my budget? What do I charge? I said I charge between 400 to 700. He said, really? I said, yes, of course. He said, that's more than my budget too. I said, but you said you didn't have a budget. He said, yes, but I have something I cannot afford. I said, what can you afford? He said he was thinking 250. I said, that's not happening. I said, why? I said, because it's not within the range I charge. I don't work. I understand that this is your budget, but I don't really work with people who can afford me right now. But I know someone who can afford it. He said, no, he wants me. I said, fine. How I can, you need to give me a better offer. So he says 300. I said, no, not happening. Then he says 350. I said, no. He said, why? I said, because it's 350. I said, you need to do better. I said, I'm very stubborn. I said, I know. Then he says, and by the way, we're laughing in this call, so it doesn't like we're fighting. It doesn't like in case you guys think we're fighting. Then he says the best he can do is 350. And I told him that if we want to do 350, I'd have to remove a deliverable. So instead of at 350, I would remove brand management for 2 months. So he just gets strategy and identity design. I said, so he said, so at 50K, he said, because of 50K difference, he wouldn't get brand management. I said, yes. He said, okay, no problem, that he's not doing. I said, oh, that's too bad. I would get back to you later. He said, really? I said, yes. He said, no problem. So he disappeared. And by the way, I was broke during that period, and it's pained me. It's really, really pained me because I needed money. However, I needed to be able to remind myself, Leslie, I needed to be able to remind myself that God, I am worth this amount because I have a goal, yeah, and then to actually achieve that goal, I can't keep collecting 350K for end-to-end brand design. That's the problem for me. So, like someone said, just quick one. When you're increasing your prices, ensure you do it when you have money. If you are broke, do not do it. Do not increase your prices when you are broke, right? And when you want to succumb, remind and when you want to succumb or when you want to backslide in charging because you need money urgently, it's fine actually, but you need to also remind yourself that that's not what you are worth. You are doing it because circumstances is forcing you to do it, right? But after that, please don't go back. Don't go back, right? The Bible, a particular part of the Bible said that when you sin intentionally, right, God will punish you. He will forgive you, but he will punish you for it. Do you understand? So when you backslide first by mistake, it's fine. But when you consistently backslide, you are punishing yourself because it will be hard for you guys for you to get back up. So I hope that answered your question. I'm going before we move on to the last slide, quick one. So at the first part where the first time when I had like an 8 month drought, right? An 8 month drought where we couldn't really find clients. So something similar happened this year, right? The moment I left my company, the non-compete clause in my contract didn't allow me to take my clients from my company, and so I had to start like from the scratch again. However, instead of me going another 8 months, it took me just about 2 months to get a new client, right? And then began to build from there. And from then to now, account has been fat and lean at the same time. If it goes fat, then it goes lean, fat and lean. And so it's not really as worse at it wasn't an 8 month draft. At any point in time, I'm always constantly working with money coming at the end of the month. And that's like a good update. So it is not this at 2 years ago, I was talking from a position of being broke and like I don't have money, but I'm saying it by the grace of God. Now everything I've said right on this call actually works. It works not because it happened to me. It works because I've told people and it worked for them. People wanted to increase their prices. I've had guys increase their prices in less than one day. I've had guys increase their prices within 3 weeks, and by increasing their price, I mean from 20K to as high as 150K within 4 months. It works, yeah, and I think it can work for you. I forgot that I'm going to say it because Leslie is here, yeah. A certain time 3 years ago, Leslie mentioned a particular price, and I almost quit design because of it because I was like, God Almighty, what the heck is this? What's happening in my life? Someone who once said he charged 10K per second for motion design. That's how crazy people were then. And my imposter syndrome was really, really strong. until I figured it out. So lastly, perception is not reality. Um, Branding, a lot of brand designers, right? They make this idea that perception is reality. And I disagree. And I consistently will continue to disagree. Perception is not reality. Perception is perception, and reality is reality, right? The idea that we equate both of them is the reason why we have so many depressed people in Nigeria today. Right? People are trying to appear to be what they are not, thinking that you need to fake it until you make it. True branding or true branding or true differentiation is not focused on what you have not yet become. It's not focused on just bluffing. It's focused on what you actually are and leveraging it to get to where you want to be. So if you want to if you are currently charging 100,000 naira and you want to charge 500,000 naira, don't stop acting like somebody wants to charge 500,000 naira, right? You don't have the skill, you don't have anything, and you're trying to act like it. You are not going to get there because by the time you are in that space to charge 500k, you will not know what to say. Another story. I had this construction company where I was like that. Yeah, I was thinking I should charge 500k. And so I got to the company, and then I stayed after pitching and everything. It was a really embarrassing pitch, by the way. But after pitching and everything, they told me, "How much did this cost?" I told them it's going to cost them 700k. The question he asked me was, "Why should I pay you 700k?" And I was stammering, and that was where the problem came in, right? So a lot of times when we try to act like what we are not, and someone asks us the question, "Why should I pay you this amount?" What we begin to do is that we begin to start forming things and begin to say, oh, well, you find you pitched brand identity to them. And when they ask you, why should I pay that amount? At the end of your talk, you were doing brand identity, web design, UI design, product design, and social media design for 4 months for the same amount that you planned to collect, right? And you're like, what the hell? So you can't act like it. You need to be it to say you want to charge that amount. So perception is perception and reality is reality. If you do not think you are worth so much and you act like you are worth so much, what you will create is a substandard product. When you charge, when you say you do branding at 700k and you have no idea what a 700k branding product should look like, you you put yourself in an unending loop, right? And so when you do a certain particular project, you feel like you are cheating the client, but you don't know exactly what to do next, right? That's what happens to a lot of designers, especially brand designers or logo designers. And I call them logo designers because that's what they are. A lot of logo designers who say they do brand strategy and have absolutely no idea what brand strategy entails, but they just say they do it nonetheless. And then they charge this amount, and then they're like confused as to what to do next when their client asks them, "Where's my brand strategy document?" So looking the part without being the part is not fair to yourself and it's not fair to your client. And this is where you flip the script to ask, hope you haven't cheated, uh, Miss Client. Um, so the idea of pricing usually is about like the entire idea of what I've talked about for the last hour. It boils down to being fair with yourself and being fair to your client. So the summary is not offer value. The summary is fear God and be fair. Fear God. Fear God. Any questions, guys? Any questions? Right now, questions. I saw a couple of questions and I couldn't answer them. I hope they can really help me out here. Any questions, guys?
Um, again, um, like I don't even know what to say. But okay, onto the questions. I noted some of them down, so let me just read them out. Um, the first one was like, should we actually be bargaining price or fees as though we are pricing tomato and onions?
Should we what? Should we
Bargain
what?
price and fees. Bargain
Okay,
price and fees.
bargaining price and fees.
Yes, yes.
I don't care how you want to bargain them, whether it is tomato, onions, or bread. I don't care. Bargain, negotiation is important in business, right? It allows you to know what to do, how much you really are worth. There's certain times when you don't think you are worth this amount, and then you bargain and you discover that your client is thinking you're worth that amount. You will never know until you actually bargain, negotiate. If you are comfortable with that price, then you should be charging more. It is not a matter of right and wrong. It's just a matter of it's a business decision, right? It's a you want to progress, you want to scale. The moment you are getting comfortable in where you are, it means that you need to scale. It means you have mastered that particular amount. I need to go to the next step. And so you need to negotiate. Chris Voss says everything is a negotiation. Everything in life is a negotiation. If you're not negotiating about it, if you're not negotiating, somebody is getting cheated. There's no negotiation. Somebody is getting cheated. You just don't know that yet. I hope that answers the question. So even if you're bargaining, it is 55. No, I don't want 50,500. I want 50,250. Bargain it nonetheless until you get something you think is fair to you and also fair to your client. It can be in whole figures. It can be 30,000, 932 naira. Whatever figure you pick, it just needs to be fair to both of you on both sides. I think that answers the question.
Okay. Before I go on, like I just want to encourage everyone to fill the feedback form that will be posted in the comments now. Or have already been posted, but then like PG post that. You'll find the slides to this session like at the end of the feedback form. Also, what else did I want to say? Yes, the recording will be shared on the Asha Koturi YouTube channel. So like I'm going to post the link now. Yeah, like you can subscribe to the channel so that when it's uploaded, you'll be alerted. And you can follow Asha Koturi on Twitter and Instagram so that when like the channel or the recordings are up on the channel, like you would be notified as well. Okay, second question. How do you find high paying clients outside your current circle? And someone else asked a question, so like I'm going to like combine the two questions in one. First one said that how do you find high paying clients outside your current circle? And someone else said, where do you go to look for such clients and how do you pitch yourself?
Where do you find the client outside your current circle? It's simple. Go outside the circle. It's like a Venn diagram, right? There's a circle and there's the square. Leave the circle and go around the square. So you know where your circle is. So go to anywhere your circle isn't, right? Of course, you need to go to places we are also comfortable with. Some of your kind of clients actually visit bars. We're not comfortable with bars. Don't meet them in bars. Meet them in a place where you know you're comfortable with meeting them. Now, the point is simple. You need to figure out who your clients are. When you figure out who they are, it's easier to figure out where they hang out. Simple. Put yourself there, right? Do they talk a lot on Twitter? Go on Twitter. Do they talk a lot on LinkedIn? Fuck Twitter. Go to LinkedIn. Do they make a lot of noise on Instagram? Start posting on Instagram too. What do they like to talk about? Talk about those things. Read about those things, right? It's called brand positioning, right? Brand positioning is not just some writing of target audience, elevator pitch. It's not that. It's not your problem and what solution you're trying to solve. It's not that. It's simply putting yourself in place where they will notice you. People will not work with you if they don't trust you. So you need to place yourself in a position where they can trust you, right? So when the fund, another way to get it is that someone said that you're only 6 people away from anybody in the world. It means that between you and anybody in the world, the farthest you can get is 6 people, right? It means that someone who knows somebody, 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 knows the person you're looking for, right? So if you cannot get that person, find somebody in your circle that knows somebody that knows him and build the way from there. Usually it's a long-term thing. It can happen in a short period, it can happen in a long-time period. But put yourself in those positions, right? It's just the same way when we got the project to work on the visual campaign for Nigeria's youngest House of Representatives member, Smalaji. It was simple. It was simply because we knew somebody that knew somebody that knew him, right? So sometimes you just don't need to like expand and like become rich overnight and begin to have Dangote as your friend. Right? You might not need to have Dangote. You might need to have Dangote's gate man as your friend. Do you get? Because one day Dangote and his gate man will have a conversation, and the gate man will mention you probably because you used to buy bread. Do you guys understand? So it's the little things. You're just making yourself to someone that they can't trust. I think the second question is similar to that. The second question is, how do you pitch yourself? It's simple. You need to figure out what you bring to the table. And what you bring to the table is not solving problems. Solving problems is your duty. It's not your value. I don't know. It's just like saying the reason why a doctor exists, what a doctor brings to the table is to save lives. It's their duty. It's their profession. It's what it comes with the package. Just like when you're buying TV from someone, they won't tell you that what makes us why you should buy from us is because we show pictures. We show pictures in HD. It's their duty. You expect it to show pictures. So what you should sell to them and the way you pitch yourself to them is in context, right? Talk about the problems that matter to them. So don't just say you're solving problems. Talk about the problems you are solving. So it's something they can actually relate to. Talk about if you are fun and goofy, say you're fun and goofy, right? If you're There are many ways you can pitch yourself. You don't even need to say you do design. You can just like if you like weed and your clients like smoking weed, smoke weed with them, be in the same circle with them and smoke the same weed with them. They will trust you. And the funny thing is that people who smoke weed trust other people who smoke weed. I don't know why that is, but they just do that. It's a really small circle. And it's funny, right? So it could be alcohol, right? You can decide it could be the fact that someone is a Chelsea fan. You can say that okay, you're a Chelsea fan, fine, I'm an Arsenal fan, and then you guys can discuss properly as to why you dash them the route because they did not have any better striker. This is a particular sub to Chelsea fans, by the way. And then you do that, and you call it that you guys talk, and then they banter you and tell you where we have EPL and UCL. Then you banter them back and say, well, we have a golden trophy. Just because of that, they just feel like you're a really cool person to talk to, and then it builds from there, right? But then if you're busting in there and you're saying that I'm a designer, I help people solve their problems by doing identity, still they'll be like, who are you, please? I mean, because they have a lot of people, they know people who know them, who do these things too. But you need to give them a better reason. They need to be comfortable with you, right? You just need to be comfortable with you, basically. Um, I think that answers the question. What's any other question? I don't say get high with your career, so
You have
yeah,
just like you have plenty. um, but like someone was asking for resources on learning
price.
branding
Anyone?
strategy. Yeah,
To learn
learning
bad
branding.
strategy, read good strategy, bad strategy. I don't know. Good strategy, bad strategy. Read lots of strategy. Read the strategy focused organization and consume crystal strategy videos,
Okay, so what
basically.
is like I'll go get all these from you because like I'm sure people have already forgotten all the names you mentioned. I'll
Yeah,
get all
definitely.
and
No
then we'll
problem.
share Chakoteri Twitter page. So just like, stay tuned for that. Next question. 1 second.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, someone was
actually,
asking. Yeah,
I'm sorry, there. I didn't answer all the questions, so you guys can join in. I hope you guys got me. I intend to answer all the questions. Darren.
sorry, what did you say?
So I intend to answer all the questions, so you don't have to like skip some questions.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Someone was asking if you do like if you train on brand strategy, like proper internship and mentorship, not online.
How much are you willing to pay?
Uncle George, they've asked you, how much are you willing to pay? Why he answered that?
If you're training, we can talk about the price.
DM me. The Koteri will discuss it and we'll get back to you.
Okay. Um, Someone said so. You're saying that if you want to grow, some small clients have to be let go. How long did it take you to do that? And when will you start seeing the change? How do you change your environment?
When you travel from Accra to Lagos, how long does it take you to know your environment has changed? It takes less than a second, right? Changing your cycle of life, like I said, is a daunting move. It's a move that is scary, right? But you need to do it nonetheless. So if you are trying to, yeah, you're trying to pamper yourself. You're trying to pamper yourself. You will not get anywhere. So changing your environment needs to be drastic, right? If all you do is, I mean, it doesn't mean changing yourself. It just simply means improving yourself, right? You want to be rich one day. So it's better you just start now. So changing your circle of clients is it's as simple as figuring out we are changing your routine maybe, or updating your routine or evolving your routine to sort of fit to accommodate theirs. So it's really not that hard. How long does it take? It can take as long as possible and as short as possible. It depends on how well you position yourself. You position yourself well enough, you can get clients in a day, right? You position yourself well enough, you can get it in a month. If you position yourself worse enough, you can get it in 2 years. Whatever works for you. So the ROI is just it differs really. It differs. It's dependent on how you do it, where you are, what environment you are changing to, and how accessible you are to that environment. I think that should answer the question. Yeah.
Okay. Next question. Is it professionally right to ask clients for their budget before stating your price?
Business wise, no, it's not. It's always nice to state your price first, right? But usually of you get scared of undercharging, and then you can ask them for their budget. Usually, when you ask them for their budgets, you give them precedence, right? So they control the negotiations from there. But if you are strong enough, you can ask them for their budget and tell them no afterwards. But if you want to control the negotiations early on, you should actually drop your own pricing first. So once if your budget is 200,000 and you drop your own pricing, usually what it does to their mind is that they begin to really figure out how they can actually fit into your pricing, or at least make you pity them, which doesn't usually work. So they usually just up their pricing. Do you guys get? So it's just like you want to buy something, you have 50K in your pocket, and then you call the person, and the person tells you it's 80K. In your head, you're thinking, well, I should be able to afford 70K, right? And then you're trying to drop the person from 80K to 70K. It's simple. But if you mention 50K, the person can simply straight up tell you, no, it doesn't cost 50K, it costs 80K. And then you might probably not be interested in buying anymore. So as much as possible, lay out your pricing first. Usually what I do is when a client calls me and asks me they want to do a project, I usually tell them and say, well, amazing, just to be sure that we're a perfect fit and just to not waste your time so much. I usually charge between this amount and this amount. Does this fit into what you expect? If they say no, we end the entire stuff right there. If they say yes, then we can continue the conversation. If they say yes, okay, that's good. So let's continue.
Praise, you've been muted.
It means that when we begin to talk about pricing, we will no longer have to start going back and forth. We're talking within my.
Can we keep
We begin to
this
talk within
WA person out, please?
we begin to talk within my space, because I would have controlled the conversation from that point, right? Because once they say yes to my range, once they say yes to my range, then we are really good to go. I think that answers that question. Any more there?
Yeah, we have plenty more. Hold on. Okay. What do you
Who muted Darren again?
see? I will fight. I'm ready to fight.
I don't mind. I really get my.
Let's go. As I was saying, what do you advise working for individuals or companies? Yeah, individuals or companies.
You can work for any of them as long as they pay you well. I have no problems with that. Companies like structure, so if you are able to have a semblance of structure, you can work for companies. Anyways, you can work for any of them uh, as clients. That's not really a big problem. You can also work in collaboration with other design agencies. Offer your dues to them because it means that your the agency are just doing the clients. They help you find the clients, and you just help them alongside. So when the agency find the client, they come to you and say, okay, this is our project, or this is our client, this is our project. Usually, when you're collaborating with agencies, ensure that 10% of what they usually charge should be what is good for you. So if you charge 100K on the normal, it means that you should be looking to collaborate with agencies who charge 1 million naira for project. So it means that their overhead is fine, your overhead is fine, and everybody goes home happy. That's simple.
Okay. Next question. Okay, someone said, is it also good to ask what the client's marketing budget is, especially for SMEs? What I mean is that when you're working for SMEs, they might probably have an amount set for their marketing for that business year, and branding strategy, logo design falls under that. Can that give us a clue on how much to charge?
Um, yes, you can, but like I said, you want to be fair to yourself. You're not you're not charging only based on the client. You're charging based on the client and yourself. You need to figure out what is good for you too, right? If you are using, if you are in a house that costs 1.5 million naira per year to pay rent, right, and you're still collecting 50K jobs, then you are just being unfair to yourself, kind of, right? So you want to know that marketing budget, not because you want to just use this charge. You want to know your marketing budget. If uh, their budget is fair for you, right? And then you're dropping your own price to make them understand if your own price is fair for them. Usually, they are usually different figures, but once they can at least have a semblance of intersection in between, something that you guys can agree on, then you can move forward with it. Once they are clearly distinct figures, then you know you're not moving forward with anything, right? And then you move on from there. I think that answers the question there.
Okay. Next question. Is it advisable to negotiate with clients over the phone, or just send an invoice of what you think the project is worth to the brand?
I like sending an invoice after me and the client have decided how much it's going to cost them. So I negotiate over the phone or over chats. I can negotiate anywhere, phone, chat, but emails, no. I hate negotiating over emails because it's always hard to. It's always hard. I mean, that emails the proper reply should just be N O no, right? And I have issues sending just to no because I have to add my footer, and it doesn't. When you add footers to no, it doesn't. The strength of the no becomes watery. So it just has to be no, right? So have it on calls, face to face or chat. Um, no, just we want to do this amount. No, sorry, it can't work. Give me a better offer. So how about this amount? No, sorry, we can't work with you. It doesn't work with me. It's better that way, right? Than emails. And so once you are done, the invoice should be something that allows you guys, that means that you have agreed on this amount of price and they are paying you. Invoice should be the notice of payment, not notice of negotiation. So you send invoice after you agreed on pricing. They're telling you to send a pricing for negotiations. Don't send an invoice. You're sending the proposal, right? So it means that you're sending a price and also deliverables and also why you're charging that price, your process, and just basically sending the proposal with the price. Then they see the price, then they call you for negotiations. And then when you discuss the negotiations and discussing your price guidelines or whatever you guys agree, you then send an invoice to collect your money. But we are doing it the other way around on your own. I think that answers the question.
Um, Someone asked, what were your deliverables when you went up from 5K to 100K?
At first, it was the same thing. When I was doing 5K, I was very, I was, I was underestimating myself, right? I had begun to do really, really amazing work as at then. However, when I moved to 100K, what I did was I began to invest in strategy. So when I work with clients, my process with the clients improved. So usually I never send questionnaires, I hate questionnaires, but usually I would discuss with the clients, have a conversation with them. I began to tell clients that your logo will take you 2 weeks, no longer 5 days or 3 days. Then I began to, I don't know why, I began to do just one option. The one option I began to do, I don't know why, but besides doing one options, it gave me more confidence to charge more. Uh, so I just do one option, then I do the usual presentation. After the presentation, they approve it, I move on to the next step which would be guidelines and submitting their logo assets. Uh, and then that's all basically. And then as I grew over time, the way I began to do those things improved, right? They improved or evolved. And the more they evolved, the more sweet they began to get. So even though it's one option, the client is involved across the process. I might work with the client for 3 weeks and we've not yet touched your logo, right? But yet it's still it's still within the project scope of everything. I hope that answers the question. So the deliverables really, really differ. I have charged 300K for strategy to the end, and I've also charged 650 for on the identity design. So it differs. Like I said, I don't charge the work, I charge the client. Then
Okay. Actually sort of answered the next question. The person had asked, should you charge the client for the project? But then, like you said, you charge the project, right?
charge the client. Not
Sorry.
the
Okay, so next question. Someone said, what do you mean by price identity documents? Or did the person mean brand?
I didn't get you.
The person just asked, what do you mean by price identity documents?
Brand identity document.
I'm assuming that's what the person.
I didn't get that really.
Okay, so if you're the one that asked this question, can you like ask it again or rephrase it, please? So okay, next question says, is it wise to do favors for your clients, like adding features that weren't initially discussed at the start of the project? And it was clearly stated at the beginning that additional features will cost more.
Uh, if you are doing favors, do favors. I mean, favors are free for a reason. Do favors. So if you felt that you're working for your clients and you felt that no, they need to do this thing more, you can either inform them and get paid for it, one, or you can do it nonetheless and not get paid for it. The point is, whenever you want to get paid for something that you did not previously agree on, inform them first before doing it. Right? If you do not inform them, you are doing a favor. So don't start running your mouth that they're owing you money because they are not. They are paid on something and you said to add something on your own, being the ITK that you are. But yeah, there's this project I worked on 2 months ago where they hit me up and said they wanted an analytics design project. And I was like, no, no, I can't. I said, okay, no problem. Then we discussed with them, and I discussed. And I told them, you guys don't just need a logo. A logo won't help you guys make $650,000 in revenue within the first 2 years. So they're like, okay, what do we need? I told them, okay, so you guys need to invest in strategy and management for a couple of time. And like, really? I said, yes, of course. I said, okay, no problem. And I told them that I understand that you guys are just starting out, and then I'm going to do this for free. I'm going to do it for the same price of the identity design. He said, really? I said, yes. So I started the project, and for 3 weeks, we were developing a strategy together. For 1 month, actually, we were developing a strategy together. And then when we were done, and they were supposed to send the balance, they sent an increase, 100% increase of the total amount we agreed at the beginning. So let's, for example, let's say we agreed on 90,000 naira, they sent about 190K, right? So it meant that they felt that they should pay for it, right? But then if I wanted them to pay for it, I would tell them, okay, it's going to cost you guys more, and this is how much it's going to cost you from now on. Do you guys understand? So when you're doing favors, ensure that it is favors. When you're adding something to the project and you want to be paid for it, notify your client. Things like buying a font or buying a mock-up or buying whatever you're buying, notify the client. Once you buy it without the client, you're doing favors. You don't deserve to get paid for it. I hope that answers the question.
If I'm offering 500K for a brand strategy, what am I expecting?
If what?
If I, as a client, am offering 500K for a brand strategy, what am I expecting?
You're expecting your brand to, expecting everything that your business contains to work together in harmony based on a certain certain guidelines that will be developed together between you and the design and the strategist. So the deliverables is a strategy document, nothing more, nothing less. Strategy document differs based on who you're working for, but usually it contains things like brand personality, brand messaging, brand communications, brand definition, and all that stuff. Really just figuring out what makes up the business, the connection between business and customer, because customer are the reasons why you make money. So you want to really figure out how you can matter to that customer and what you need to be or what you need to emphasize on to make you different from the next person beside you. So depending on, again, like I said, the pricing is depending on how big you are. If you're a student who wants to just sell shares to other students and someone is charging you 500K, the person is a scam, right? However, if you are Dangote and you want to do strategy, the effect of strategy for Dangote is immensely higher than the one for a student. Of course, the pricing has to merge along with it. I think that answers that question.
Okay. What's the structure of your new strategy? Like the stage?
Yeah. What's the structure of my brand strategy? I just mentioned it in the last call. I just mentioned it in the last question. It's usually just a combination of several categories: messaging, personality, tone of voice, competitive advantage, elevator pitches, communications, core values. Just really, really helping them. It's not, you're not developing it from scratch. You're just really working with the client to find their Easter eggs and emphasizing them to the client, right? So that's really, really what it's made up of, basically. It could also include brand valuation if you know how to do it. But that's it, basically.
Okay, someone said that, correct me if I'm wrong, charging high for an identity design project lies in the strategy, right?
Yes, yes, and no. You can charge for the identity design project standalone. You can charge it with strategy. Charging high for anything depends on who you're charging. Do you understand? Charging high for anything depends on who you're charging, really. and depends on yourself too. It depends on two people. It just really depends on how fair it is for both of you guys. Both of you. Are you confident in charging high? Good, great. Can the person pay that high? Fine. Then the labels come secondary. Do you understand?
Okay, someone said these clients are Nigerians. What do you offer them that quantifies what you deliver? I am asking because my current client base is not Nigerian and they pay very well.
Is this a client? Okay, what do you offer them that quantifies what you deliver? Well, they're human beings, right? Every human being is looking for connection. Um, so if you have a certain level of clients that pay well and you want to keep on serving them well, the best way to do that is to uh, connect the emotional part, leave the logical, numbered, quantifiable part, and connect some with them intangibly. Ask for their birthday, ask for their favorite club. If they watch baseball, start watching baseball, just so you can tell them you saw their team lose, and all that stuff. Basically, become their friend, right? There is the biggest the biggest compliment you can get is not that you did amazing work. The biggest compliment you can get is, hey, praise. Whatever you need, just tell me. I'm going to do it. I trust you that much. That is what you need. You don't need more money from a client. You need trust. Trust is something that you can't quantify. You have it, you would you would wish you did it for free for someone who trusts you so much, right? So build trust, really. So for any client, Nigerian or not, build trust with them. Once you're able to build trust, you get whatever else you need to get. Any other question?
Uh, yeah. But you need strategy to be able to do the identity design effectively, right?
No, you don't. Yes, you do. No, you don't. It's a yes or no question. You're chicken and egg question. If you have strategy, can you do logo design well, better? Yes. If you don't, your identity design would be wobbly because your identity is simply is trying to, you want to be able to use it to recognize something, right, different from every other person. So what you do or how you do it would be that uh, when someone sees your logo, they know that you are the one. The next thing, whatever decisions they make after recognizing you, is based on strategy. Do you understand? Uh, and so identity design can only do so much without strategy. I hope you guys understand that part. You can only do so much, like just recognizing you, but being able to associate it with a particular emotion that spurs a buying decision is something that strategy works on. So logos will not make people buy from you. Strategy would. Just like a good example is Mac. You don't buy from Mac just because you like the Apple logo. You buy from Mac because the Apple logo means communicate or associates you with something which is sleekness, techy, modern, in the know, and all that stuff. So an identity design can only do so much. Can only do so much. That's why a lot of logo designers, the best that logos can do is just stay on business cards and not beyond that, right? But if you want to truly do visual communication that matters, you need to do it on a really strong strategy. That doesn't mean you need to learn it. You just need to find someone who can do it. I think that makes sense. God, I talk about branding most of the day. That's part of me. I've talked about product a bit, but in between, yeah.